Parivraja Kacharya Shtotarashatashi Srimad Vedanti Goswami Abhachara Nalvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivraja Kacharya Shtotarashatashi Srimad Vedanti Goswami Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Maharaja Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Om Pranstako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Radha Madhava Gopi Gopinath Radha Kunda Shyama Kunda Giri Govardhana Ki Jai Vrindavana Madhura Dhama Ki Jai Navadipa Dhama Ki Jai Mayapur Dhama Ki Jai Ganga Maya Yamuna Maya Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Jai Shri Shri Guru Guranga, Jai Shri Shri Guru Guranga, Jai Shri Shri Guru Guranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nashta Prayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Akyanam Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadama Yam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurok Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupa Sagrajatam Sakhagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Svitam Sha Namahom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine. Together. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine Nama Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauradvishe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Svarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Today we continue reading wonderful Bhagavatam, beautiful Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 30, on the board. Gyanam guhyatamam yatat Sakshat Bhagavato Ditam Anvavocham Gamishyantah Kripaya Dina Vatsalaha Gyanam Guhyatamam Yatat Sakshat Bhagavato Ditam Anvavocham Gamishyanta Kripaya Dina Vatsalaha Jnanam Guhyatamam Yatta Sakshat Bhagavato Ditam Anvavocham Gamishyanta Kripaya Dina Vatsalaha. Next, please. Jnanam Yatta Sakshat Bhagavato Ditam Anvavocham Gamishyanta Kripaya Dina Vatsalaha. Jnanam Guhyatamam Yatta Sakshat Bhagavato Ditam Anvavocham Gamishyanta Kripaya Dina Vatsalaha. Ladies, please. Vaishnavas. Jnanam Guhyatamam Yatta Sakshat Bhagavato Ditam Anvavocham Gamishyanta Kripaya Dina Vatsalaha. Jnanam, knowledge. Guhyatamam, most confidential. Yat, what is. Tat, that. Sakshat, directly. Bhagavata Uditam, propounded by the Lord Himself. Anvavocham, gave instruction. Gamishyanta, while departing from. Kripaya, by causeless mercy. Dinavatsalaha, those who are very kind to the poor and meek. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Abhay Charanarvindam Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As they were living, those Bhaktivedantas, who are very kind, poor-hearted souls, instructed me in that most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of Godhead Himself. Purport. A pure Vedantist or a Bhaktivedanta instructs followers exactly according to the instructions of the Lord Himself. The personality of Godhead, both in the Bhagavad Gita and in all other scriptures, has definitely instructed men to follow the Lord only. The Lord is creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. The whole manifested creation is existing by His will, and by His will, when the whole show is finished, He will remain in His eternal abode with all His paraphernalia. Before the creation, He was there in the eternal abode, and after the annihilation, He will be continued to remain. He is not therefore one of the created beings. He is transcendental. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that long before the instruction was imparted to Arjuna, the same was instructed to the Sun God, and in course of time, the same instruction, being wrongly handed and being broken, was again instructed to Arjuna, because he was his perfect devotee and friend. Therefore, the instruction of the Lord can be understood by the devotees only and no one else. The impersonalist who has no idea of the transcendental form of the Lord cannot understand this most confidential message of the Lord. The expression most confidential is significant here because knowledge of devotional service is far, far above knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Jnana means ordinary knowledge or any branch of knowledge. This knowledge develops up to the knowledge of impersonal Brahman. Above this, when it's partially mixed with devotion, such knowledge develops to knowledge of Paramatma, or the all-pervading Godhead. This is more confidential, but when such knowledge is turned into pure devotional service, and the confidential part of transcendental knowledge is attained, it's called the most confidential knowledge. This most confidential knowledge was imparted by the Lord to Brahma, Arjuna, Uddhava, etc. Once more, the translation of the verse itself. Should we repeat together? As they were living, those Bhaktivedantas who are very kind to poor-hearted souls instructed me in that most confidential subject, which is instructed by the personality of Godhead himself. Here a question arises, why did Narada begin describing his past life? To illustrate the effect of direct teaching of bhakti, instead of teaching something else mixed with bhakti, some adding, some mishras, karma, jnana, etc., without accenting repeatedly the superior position of bhakti. And in this section of verses 23 to 31, Narada described to Vyasa his association through the service to Bhaktivedantas. Bhaktivedantas, those who know bhakti, the great devotees. How he is being a Shudra by birth, got thoroughly transformed into the perfect living being and reached to the stage of Prema. Actually, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, all these verses in this section, that's the description of personal path to bhakti and through bhakti of Narada Muni, up to the level of Prema. And the previous verse, yesterday's verse, was a description of Prema. It's interesting that Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Anuraktasya, there was a word there, that means he got attached to the Bhaktivedantas. But our Acharya stressed that this Anuraktasya means he got the attachment to the Lord himself. And there is no contradiction in it. Although apparently it's a contradiction to get attached to someone and to get attached to the Lord, the different things. But in our tradition, it's not like this. Actually, whatever the relationship we can have with the Lord first appear in our dealings with our spiritual master. The rati, attachment, or we call it bhava, appear first, and then is developed to prema in the relationship with our spiritual master. Then, all other kind of relationship with the Lord himself, it sprouts from these feelings. It's expanded. So, it is like this. By getting attached to Bhaktivedantas as spiritual master, he manifested the love of Krishna himself. So the previous verse was about prema, which was gotten by Narada only in 4 months. For us, it's millennium, it's already kalpa. But for Brahma, it happened only in 4 months, the rainy season. And how it's described in previous verse, though I was a boy, I had developed prema for the Lord. And then the qualification of the person to get this prema is also there in this verse. I was humble, sinless, filled with faith, sense-controlled, and was willing to serve. This is a prerequisite for getting prema. There's a prerequisite for candidate or aspiring disciple who want to enter this realm of highest perfection of bhakti, ended in prema. And what was the effect of this transcendental knowledge? In this verse, we describe the transcendental knowledge, most confidential knowledge, which was given to him by Bhaktivedanta. And what was the effect of this most confidential knowledge? Because then we will be going, what is this most confidential knowledge? But what was the effect? It's also described by Narada in the next verse. It's like the whole section is just description of different stages which Narada going through in his relationship with Bhaktivedanta. So next verse describes the effect of this most confidential knowledge. Narada could, by this knowledge, understand clearly the influence of different energies of the Lord for creation. That's Pradyumna. And Pradyumna is the principle of intelligence. He is born of ego and passion. So he's in charge of creation. Pradyumna, and the manifestation of Pradyumna is Garbhodakashaya Vishnu. That's our creator of this universe. And the Lord himself in this feature creates the world as Pradyumna, and then his son Aniruddha. Aniruddha, that's the principle of mind. Mind supports, mind maintains. And this is a principle of goodness. First was passion, and now it's goodness. And goodness maintains. As Kshiradakashaya Vishnu, the Lord in his feature as Aniruddha maintains this. Right? From within our hearts, from within each and every atom, he maintains this creation. And then finally, as a Sankarshan, the principle of destruction, the principle of ignorance, he destroys everything. So in these three features, Narada could understand all the creative energies of the Lord. He could understand the energies of creation, he could understand the energies of maintenance, and he could understand the energies of destruction. It's interesting. As well as all other energies, including Chit Shakti, means spiritual Shakti, spiritual energies. He could understand everything by the dint of this most confidential knowledge. Nothing was not manifested to him. Everything was revealed to him through the dint of this knowledge. And finally, it's most interesting, okay, about the energies. Actually, why specifically mention these three features of the Lord, three forms of the Lord? Because he got mantra. As a part of this most confidential knowledge, Narada got most powerful mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Vasudeva Dhimahi Pradyumna Niruttaya Namak Sankarshanaya Cha. It was given to them, to him, by Bhaktivedanta. And here the Lord Vasudeva, in his feature as Pradyumna, Aniruddha and Sankarshana, appeared with all his energies. Actually, mantra established, as we know, the deity in the heart. And mantra is the body of this deity. So Narada couldn't understand, by the dint of this mantra, he could understand everything, all the energies. And why energies understood first? Because the Lord as a personality, he is unlimited. He has unlimited knowledge, different qualities like Gir, that his knowledge, Kanti, that his beauty, as we heard, the different features of the Lord which manifest different other qualities, sweetness as well, his mercy, Karunya, and others. So Shakti is one, the energy of the Lord. But to manifest these different qualities of the Lord, they function differently to manifest this particular quality of the Lord. Thus, we have multiple, or actually innumerable energies of the Lord, which manifest one of the qualities of the Lord. The Lord has unlimited quantity of these qualities, and each energy manifests one of the quality. Therefore, innumerable qualities, innumerable energies. And as the sun adds his rays, how we know that the sun in the sky, we will see the energy of the sun in the form of light, we will feel it in the form of heat of the sun, right? And only then we will see the sun. Thus, the energy coming first from the personality. Like to know the personality first, the energy should manifest this personality outwardly. The same like the sunshine manifests first, and then we can see the sun. The same as is described in the next verse, he could understand all the energies of the Lord, and then he could see the Lord face to face. This is the effect of this most confidential knowledge. He could see it. He could see everything together with the Lord himself. And the Lord revealed him in the 6th chapter. Later on, we will read about the meeting of Narada Muni with the Lord in the 6th chapter. That's the result of this most confidential knowledge. And this particular verse describes the condition of this most confidential knowledge to be delivered. Who delivers? Right? Bhaktivedantas. To whom it's delivered? And then when it's delivered. These three think about this delivery of the most confidential knowledge. So who is deliverer of this knowledge? Bhakti Vedanta, who know, right? These people, the spiritual master, great devotees, they know the Lord, they know Him by the same most confidential knowledge which was given to them, and now they can transfer it to someone else, whom they want, whom they choose actually. Their bhakti chooses to whom to go, which heart to enter. That's the independent nature of bhakti. We cannot force it. The bhakti will go through the heart, or from the heart, to the person which it himself chooses as a candidate. And then by their Kripa Shakti, because they're very compassionate. Kripa Shakti, that's the main Shakti. That's the queen, regal queen of all the Shaktis of the Lord. By the dint of the Kripa Shakti, when it started to act, then they are overflooded by this compassion, and then they can give this most confidential knowledge to others. That's what happened with Bhaktivedantas. They gave this knowledge to Narada out of great compassion. And then, whom it was delivered? And Krishna is explaining this in 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The supreme secret should be explained to the devotees of mine, to the austere engaged in devotional service and who are non-envious of me. So there's three qualifications or prerequisites for those who want and who is eligible to get this knowledge. And as we said, Narada himself mentioned qualities he gained by this most confidential knowledge, or before it, even before it was delivered to him. I was humble, sinless, filled with faith, self-controlled, and was willing to serve. This is a prerequisite. And when it was delivered, it's also interesting. As they were living, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned one night before, how much you can give during one night. Only one night it took to them to deliver this most confidential knowledge. What does it mean? It was given in a nutshell. And Jiva Goswami explained that the same knowledge Narada got as was given to Brahma himself by Krishna in the 2nd canto. This is a 4th shloki of Bhagavatam, we know, yeah? This is the seeds of Bhagavatam from which whole Bhagavatam sprouted. That's the first aham evasam eva greya, that the position of the Lord himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead established. I was before the creation, I maintain this creation, and I'm the person who will stay after the annihilation of my creation. I am independent of my creation, although everything comes from me. So this is the position of the Lord, and then the 2nd verse, the position of the Maya, or the energy of the Lord. It's illusory. There's no reality in this Maya. It's the reflection of a real thing which exists somewhere, and it's reflected in the darkness of this material world. Therefore, it shows no relation with the Lord. Therefore, there is no reality in this energy, although it's also created by the Lord and totally dependent on the Lord, although it may not appear like this, but it is like this. So that's the position or status of Maya, or material energy, and the status of against the Lord. He is within and without of this creation, totally independent, although everything is in him, he is somewhere else invisible. It's whole esoteric things about like wonderful personality of the Lord, Achinti Beda Beda, and which we cannot actually even perceive. And then, of course, the status of Jiva. All the seekers of absolute knowledge must, in any circumstances, in any space and time, indirectly and directly search for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's the position of the Jiva. It's the seeker of the Supreme Person. Through all his life, it should seek for the Lord. This is a prayojana, to find somehow the Lord, but there is no actually process given how to find. The bhakti will sprout from these 4 shlokas of Bhagavatam. We will know, especially in the 10th canto, how bhakti appears, how it developed, and what will be at the end, how it will manifest itself. So bhakti will be given later, but to Arjuna, bhakti was given as a part of most confidential knowledge. And here, Srila Prabhupada mentioned 3 personalities whom this knowledge was delivered: to Brahma, and then to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, and then to Uddhava. And see, to Brahma it was delivered in nutshell, in only 4 verses, in the 2nd canto, and then everything else appeared from this. But to Arjuna, because the relationship were more intimate, right? The Arjuna is not a servitor anymore, not a servant anymore, not in servitorship with the Lord, but in Sakyarasa. So Sakyarasa, more intimate, therefore the more intimate knowledge, more confidential knowledge was revealed about the Lord from the Lord to Arjuna, right? And then to Uddhava, who is a more intimate friend of Krishna, the more depth of this most confidential knowledge was revealed in Uddhava Gita. So we can see from this progression that it's not like playing. It's not like, okay, this piece that's most confidential knowledge and this is what revealed to the Lord. No, this is unlimited. This most transcendent, most confidential knowledge is unlimited itself. There are many stages which is to go through there, and which will be relieved and given by the Lord to the proper seeker of the truth, to the proper candidate. So, and here Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that there are 3 kinds of knowledge. So what is this most confidential out of these 3 kinds of knowledge? There is a Guhya, and then Guhya Uttara, and then Guhya Uttama. First, there is a Jnana, as Srila Prabhupada explains. Actually, the acharyas before him also explains this, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura, and then Jina Goswami. There is a knowledge which is called Jnana, and this is to the spiritual nature, yeah, which makes this distinction between the matter and the spirit. So this is about the spiritual nature, that Jnana. When this Jnana is mixed with little bhakti, which is Gunabhava, something which colors the main basic practice, it becomes Bhakti Mishra Jnana. So now it's Jnana, but mixed with a little bhakti. And therefore it becomes Guhya, or confidential. It's already Guhya. It was jnana, just jnana, plain jnana, nothing confidential. And then, because this one drop of bhakti was added there, we know that impersonalists, when they strive to get to the perfection on their path, they adopt bhakti as the means to get there. Therefore, they don't want bhakti itself, but they're using bhakti to gain the fruit of this specific path they're traversing. Because without this, many guna, bhava addings to jnana, we cannot get the fruit of jnana. They cannot go to Brahman without bhakti. So bhakti is needed on any path leading to perfection. In karma, even to reach to the heaven, you cannot. We are not even speaking for traversing something beyond this matter. We are speaking about just for elevating to the heavens. So even this fruit cannot be gotten without bhakti. So bhakti should be there in karma, in all these rituals to get there. And the same with jnana. So all of them, all other paths of perfection, they depend on bhakti. Finally. So it becomes guhya, confidential. This one drop of bhakti makes just plain jnana, guhya, confidential knowledge. It's not just jnana, but jnana endowed with this one drop of bhakti. And because of this, person may be engaged apparently just as someone else on this path in all these different procedures prescribed on the jnana path. But such engagement, because of this one drop of bhakti, make him free, liberated. So this one drop of bhakti makes him free. So this bhakti mishra jnana leads to liberation. And then something more added to it, namely one knows Paramatma in the heart, one knows that the Lord is in the heart and tries to surrender to this Lord, then it's already not jnana even, it's already bhakti, because surrendering process is already there. The knowledge about the personal form of the Lord is already there. That's the starting point of bhakti to develop. This already not jnana mixed with bhakti. This is bhakti mixed with jnana. Yeah? And therefore, it becomes guhya uttara, guhyattara. Uttara means higher than guhya, higher than just confidential knowledge. It's more confidential. Guhya uttara means more confidential knowledge. And this knowledge leads to Vaikuntha, to the spiritual abode of the Lord, not something higher than Brahman. And then Guhya Uttama, something which is most confidential. What makes it most confidential? It's knowledge of Kevala Bhakti, pure Bhakti, purest Bhakti. What makes it Kevala? What makes it pure? The desire. Desire, intention. That's the amazing secret of desiring properly, intending properly in our actions. When we do bhakti with the desire to make Krishna happy. That's what makes it kevala, make it pure, this desire. So in our individual path towards Krishna, we are going through different transformations of desire. Actually, whole path, that's transformation of our desire on our path. And final transfer from karma, we want karma first. Hari, 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 Hari. So they shout. Okay. Before giving this most confidential knowledge to all these candidates, which were there mentioned in this verse to Brahma, to Narada, to Uddhava, to Arjuna, Hari. Krishna gave all other knowledges as well, all other types of knowledges. He gave just Jnana, the knowledge about Brahman. He gave Guhya, confidential knowledge, the knowledge of Paramatma. He gave, then he gave Guhya Uttara, the knowledge of Vaikuntha, the Lord in the heart, and only then he gave the Guhya Uttama. He gave all the range of these knowledges. Why? Because bhakti is perfect, right? That's the supreme method to get to perfection. But why Krishna gave all other range of different types of knowledge to these candidates? What is the secret? Krishna did give immediately the most confidential knowledge, right? Because here we see the Bhaktivedantas gave one night before they left, meaning the most confidential knowledge cannot be given at the beginning of our practice. It's just impossible, because heart should be pure enough to accept, to be able to accept this knowledge, because it's the highest. And the candidate should be qualified to accept this knowledge. Otherwise, if there is no potency to accept, so what's the meaning of giving of this knowledge? So the knowledge will not be given. But before, Krishna gave all other knowledges to all of them. Why? First of all, to choose properly. He wants us to choose Him and serve Him voluntarily. He doesn't want to give us one chance and pressurize us with this one chance. Okay, there is no scope like of different choices. There is only one choice, so I am choosing this because it's one, right? Most confidential knowledge is given. Krishna doesn't like this because He is supremely independent, and He made us a little bit independent by giving us free will. So He respects this free will in the spiritual being, in the jivas, and He wants us to choose Him voluntarily. Yes, out of all these different knowledges, I am choosing my Krishna. I doesn't want anything else, any other forms, any other practice. I want Him. And He is willing to repeat this again and again to Arjuna. Okay, Arjuna, I gave you all this knowledge, now you choose what you want. And if you cannot understand, even now, I am willing to repeat you again and again until you make your choice. So this is the first one, why He is not given immediately this supreme knowledge. And then He wants the second reason why He giving everything before this most confidential knowledge, because He wants us, as well as those personalities, to understand what's happening on the path to Him, like how we individually traversing to bhakti through karma and then jnana and then bhakti with different mixtures. It's not like if we are on the path of bhakti, we are not going through karma. We are going through karma because what actually defined our practice is our desire. If the desire of karma is there, then of course we will practice karma, right? And then if the desire is transformed next to jnana, then of course we will desire to strengthen our intelligence, or to exercise our intelligence muscle, the memory muscle, just to remember the Lord and speculate on the Lord. So it's there because the desire is there. So desire defines our position. And then all other mishras added to it, to karma added jnana, to karma added bhakti, and then to jnana added karma and bhakti, and then to bhakti added karma and jnana. All these mishras are there. So we are going in our individual bhakti path, we are going through all these stages. We are never getting bhakti immediately. It's never happening. And He wants, therefore, He describes all these different practices corresponding to different desires of living entity to show us what's happening, to make us aware, right, of different difficulties which we may face on this path. And then, again, voluntarily to accept only Him, only most confidential knowledge. I don't want anything else. Because this Kevala, because it's so attractive when Krishna shows himself. His wonderful features. He has 64 qualities, all different other forms. They have up to 60, and then 4 more, most confidential, describing his Madhurya, and this Madhurya is shown by him to bhaktas in most confidential knowledge. This is a prerogative of those who are traversing paths to Krishna, not to Vaikuntha, not to Brahman, to Krishna. That's most attractive and most fulfilling knowledge. And what is the message? What is the essence of this most confidential knowledge? And it's described in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 65, 66, and 67. And it's given to Arjuna, not even to Brahma. Because you are my dear friend, I will now speak the essence of all I have spoken. This is my supreme instructions, the most confidential knowledge of all. So now Krishna is going to give the essence of this most confidential knowledge. This is, I feel, is most beneficial for you. Therefore, you should act upon it. I'm giving now you, and then you please accept and act upon what I spoke to you. First, always think of me. That's the first constituent of this most confidential knowledge. Always think of me. Manmana, and then Bhava Mad Bhakto, become my devotee. And then Bhava Mad Bhakto, Madhyaji, worship me. And Mam Namaskaru, pay your obeisances to me, if you cannot do anything else. It's like a first Manmana. If you cannot, become my Bhakta. If you cannot, then worship me. If you cannot, then pay your obeisances to me. It's interesting. So these 4, Krishna is given as the constituents of the most confidential knowledge. And in the second part of the verse, Krishna reveals the result of practicing these 4. It's so interesting. It's heart-melting words of Krishna. Thus you will come to me. If you practice 1 or 2 or 3 or all of them, or at least 1, you will come to me without fail. I promise you this, because you are very dear friend. And Srila Prabhupada makes this point in purport to this verse. Concentration of the mind on the form of Krishna constitutes the most confidential part of knowledge. Concentration on the form of Krishna. And this is disclosed to Arjuna. Why? Because of the intimacy of the relationship. Arjuna is most dear friend. Therefore, it was given to him, not even to Brahma, not even to Narada, but it was given to Arjuna. And then it was given, as we told in more depth, it was given to Uddhava in Uddhava Gita. And the words stress that one should concentrate his mind upon Krishna. Which Krishna? Two-handed Krishna. Carrying flute, bluish boy with a beautiful face and peacock feather in his hair. It's the Jnana mantra actually. It's so beautiful, we can meditate on Krishna like this. And then Srila Prabhupada describes how to always think of Krishna, because it's whole science. It's just impossible for the mind, which is under the modes of nature, it's impossible to always concentrate on something. The mind is chanchala, we know, right? And that's a feature of the mind. He can concentrate on one thing at once. He cannot even cover 2 things. You cannot concentrate on something while doing something else. You will not accomplish anything, neither first nor second. You cannot. You have to concentrate on one thing. So mind can concentrate only on one thing at once. But here, Krishna promises that you would be able to concentrate on me always. So how to achieve this? Actually, this is a depth of this teaching. That's not just mind, it's already spiritualized mind. And for spiritual mind, it's possible. And the example is given, like also Krishna is telling to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita 8:7, Mam Anusmara Yudvecha. Yeah? Always think of me while carrying your prescribed duty of fighting. How to? Fighter. Great warrior. How to do simultaneously. How to fight and think of Krishna. For normal people it's impossible. If you concentrate on fighting, you will fight. If you concentrate on Krishna, you will concentrate on Krishna. But how to adjust it, how to combine this two. But example is given of the gopi who is carrying the pot with the milk or with the water on her head while walking along the street and chatting with her friends. But she is always aware of this pot. She can do whatever, but she is totally attached to this pot by thinking. She feels the weight of this pot. That's the weight of attachment. When the mind attached to something, it will make it aware of the weight of it. It will be attached always. So the main thing in this process is to become attached to Krishna. So much so that we can always think of Krishna. And then even 1 second without Krishna will be so painful. Mind will not want to go anywhere else. Because we have our original senses, spiritual senses, and the original spiritual objects of these spiritual senses, the Rupa of Krishna. The wonderful features of this Rupa, that's our original sense objects, not this matter. And when the spiritual senses already awaken in us, then immediately they go into the spiritual sense object, and this is Rupa of Krishna. How the Rupa Goswami says, my dear friend, if you want still to be in the society, if you want to keep friendship and love in this society, don't go to the bank of Yamuna, don't see this youth named Krishna. Why? Because if you see him, your senses immediately will go there. And it's like the whole, it's like a single whole. We cannot actually, when they're together, this original, already awakened spiritual senses and the original sense object as a Rupa of Krishna, wonderful, beautiful, we cannot separate them anymore. Therefore, you will not be able, my dear friend, to go back to your society, to your friendship, and to your love. You will stay there on the bank of Yamuna with him. That's the potency of awakening spiritual senses. They always will be with Krishna. Therefore, it's possible to remember him always, as the gopi always remember the pot, and therefore this pot never falls, because she always remembers this pot. That's how we have to become attached to Krishna. So the mind always remember. It was like this in the case of great devotee, like I'm compiling this book, actually finished the book of Nityananda Prabhu, about Nityananda and Deka Chakra, and how Hadai Pandit, the father of Nityananda, he couldn't bear the separation with Nityananda. When this sannyasi took Nityananda out of home, so Hadai Pandit gave him with the totally broken heart, but somehow he couldn't survive. He couldn't survive. 3 months, it was enough for him, as for Dasharatha, that the same father, the father of Ram, the same father of Ram, Dasharatha Maharaj, came now as Hadai Pandit. He couldn't bear the separation, and in 3 months he just left. And before, he just got mad totally, got in trance of seeing totally of the Nityananda. He was seeing him everywhere. Although Nityananda left already, so he went into trance, and this pain of separation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead was so unbearable for him that he couldn't survive. The same was with Padmavati, the mother of Nitya. All of them, they left without even, they couldn't eat, they couldn't drink, they couldn't sleep when Nityananda left. So everything was forgotten. Why? Because the mind is so attached to the Supreme Lord. It's so great rati, so great attachment and affection that mind cannot bear the separation with the Lord anymore on the stage of bhava and prema. Therefore, it's possible for the mind to be always concentrated on the Lord. We didn't finish. It's a long way to go still, but okay, whatever we could cover. Hare Krishna. And if you have any questions or comments, you're welcome. Is there? I don't see. Do you have a mic? Haribol? Is mic there somewhere? Prabhuji, can you please speak louder and more distinctly? Because
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for your class. My question is in relation to that verse of the Gita you quoted. You mentioned in your explanation of the verse, you mentioned that it was a gradual sequence. Basically, no, actually there was a hierarchy between the different instructions that Krishna was given. So according to your understanding, it appeared to me that he's saying, first think of me. And if you can't think of me, become my devotee. And to my insignificant intelligence, it appears that you are implying through your explanation that thinking of Krishna and being a devotee is a difference, and a devotee is lower. So could you explain what, in your explanation, being a devotee means? Is there a difference between thinking of Krishna and being a devotee of Krishna? And is thinking of Krishna higher than being a devotee? Or have I misunderstood the explanation?
It's a little hard because in our devotion, as I explained, because you came a little later, so I was explaining all these things. We are going through different stages of karma and jnana and then bhakti. It's not like homogeneous bhakti. It's never like this. We are devotees, but it's not homogeneous devotion we are getting. Right? We are going through different stages, and on all the stages we are devotees, but mixed with something, mixed with something, mixed with something. Therefore, we cannot think always about the Lord. But when we are going to Kevala Bhakti, then we can think about the Lord. So we have to go there, and then the feature of this Kevala Bhakti will be always remembering the Lord. So it's a little hard. It's the same Bhakta, but who got to the perfection, right? Bhakta who is just traversing this path. And usually on the sadhana level, we are on the sadhana. We are bhaktas, so we are not up to that level. We didn't get there still to Kevala Prema. Therefore, it's a little higher than, It discriminates between bhakti. When we mention bhakta, means it can be jnana, organic also. It can be karmi also, like a part of this personality of bhakti as well, because we are going through all this. Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically, I misunderstood. Basically, the term bhakti here is not talking about pure devotional service. You're talking about, when you're talking about thinking of Krishna, it means...
Yeah, bhakti means on the level of sadhana.
Yes, okay. Thank you.
Something else. Thank you so much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Pramanande Hari.